Welcome to another episode of the Harvey Hour. My name is Stephen Harvey. We are live from New York. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. I'm going to start off with the show today with the news that broke last night against the Bengals and Bills game, and that's the injury to Damar Hamlin. So, Hamlin last night suffered a cardiac arrest and needed CPR to be resuscitated back to life, which happened on the football field. And for the sake of context, I'm going to show the clip once, and only once. Not the rest of the show, and not again for context. I'm going to show this once, so it's not a dirty hit. It's not something like a compound fracture where your leg flops the other way or anything like that. It's just, some people may find this traumatizing. So for the sake of that, that's your first trigger warning, and I'm going to show the clip right now. We can see simple hit by T. Higgins to the chest. Damar Hamlin gets up, falls down, and then his teammate Jackson, number 30 on the right side, sees him fall down and eventually runs over to get him. That's what happened last night. He was then rushed to a Cincinnati hospital where he was able to, his vitals are doing okay, but he was put to sleep in order to intubate him, which is how the last update we found, which was about 21 hours ago. That's the last update we've gotten. But since then, we've heard nothing. Not from his agent, not from his family, not from anything. And the NFL came out with a statement today because they needed to figure it away because it's the NFL. This is an NFL game. They had to suspend the game. And the NFL came out with a statement, which I believe I have here. I will get it up right now. Let's see if we have this going right now. Struggling here with graphics here. Here we go. Here's the statement. The NFL update on the Bills-Bengals game in the Week 18 schedule. This is Roger Goodell and the rest of the NFL. Quote, the NFL continues to be in regular contact with the medical team caring for Damar Hamlin and also the Bills and Bengals organizations and the team and the NFL Players Association. After speaking with both teams and the NFLPA leadership, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell informed the clubs today that the Bills-Bengals game will not be resumed this week. The NFL has made no decision regarding the possible resumption of the game at a later date. The league has not made any changes to the Week 18 regular season schedule. We will continue to provide additional information as it becomes available. So with all that said, there was a lot that happened last night, and we're going to get into it at the beginning of the show, but I'm going to bring you in now, Dad. What was your reaction to the situation that occurred last night?
Oh, it's terrible. It's just awful. To see somebody get hurt like that and have their heart stop and have to be resuscitated. I think it's just awful. And I thought that overall it was handled well by the players, by the stadium, by the NFL. They didn't resume the game. That was the right thing to do for sure. And they did resuscitate him on the field. They had the medical team there to be able to do it. They suspended the game for a period of time. And I think that was the right thing to do, because if they said it was that they weren't going to resume the game right then a lot of people would have left. And there could have been droves of people leaving, and the ambulance might have had trouble getting out of the stadium. So they suspended the game. They resuscitated him, and they got him in the ambulance and took him out before they said the game wasn't going to be resumed. So I thought that was the right thing to do. And I think it's just a very hard situation. Prayers go out to him and to his family. His family was at the game. Yeah. So that must have been very, very hard for them. And it's just an awful thing. I think the NFL, and particularly the Bills, I think they should be commended. The way they stood up for their teammate and their concern for him, and all that goes with that. The empathy that they had, the sympathy, the prayer that they had out on the field. The way their coaches handled it, I thought it was first class. I think it was very good, and I think it sends a good message to everybody about what's the most important thing in in life? What are the most important things in life? It's not whether you make a third down or not. When somebody gets hurt, you like that, your attention goes to that, and you're concerned for that. And I thought the Bills team handled it very, very well. And I feel very sorry for them. And I don't know. I think it's going to be very hard for them for the rest of the season, and for probably all of the NFL too.
Right.
You don't expect to. But football's a brutal game. And you don't think about the brutality of it that much until things like this happen. Somebody gets seriously hurt, and it brings it into focus. And what they can do in terms of the rules and things to make it maybe a little less violent than it is, I don't know. They've done a lot in recent years around the concussion protocols and all of that, and you hear more about people's head injuries. You never used to hear much about it, and they have to follow a protocol and everything for them to come back. So they have taken a lot of positive actions to try to protect the players, but in the end, it's a very brutal game. It's a violent game. It's a game that we love. We love the game of football. I've watched it all my life. I love football.
Right.
The violent part of it is, in a way, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and that's kind of how I feel about it.
The difference between football and any other sport is that there are other contact sports. Basketball is a contact sport. Baseball, in some ways, are contact sports. This is a collision sport.
Yeah.
This is regulated violence.
Yeah.
And the thing that I found out about this was, the first thing is, there's not much more the NFL could do in terms of this situation when it comes to safety. This was not a head-on-head collision. This was not someone going low and taking out your ankles and then you have a compound fracture in your leg. This is not someone, decking you. This is not leading with the crown helmet. This was a football hit.
Yeah.
And this just so happens that this horrible situation happened. But last night showed something that we've seen in certain aspects over the course of sports in general. When this incident happened, it didn't matter if you were a Bills fan, you hated the Bills. Didn't matter if you were a Bengals fan, hated the Bengals. Didn't matter if you were a Raiders fan. Didn't matter even if you weren't even an NFL fan. This was bigger than that. And when Damar Hamlin went down, the emotion on people's faces, and people were sobbing and weeping and being there for one another. You had Bills and Bengals fans going to outside of the hospital and had a candlelit vigil outside there. You had Bills fans even today going to the stadium and gathering at the stadium to say their prayers. Yeah. And that shows that this was a situation that really the NFL has never seen. There's been one incident in the history of the NFL where someone has died on the field. That was back in 1971. I believe it was a heart attack, and that's the only player in NFL history to have passed away playing football on the field. And very fortunately, the medical staff of the Bills, and I believe the Bengals may have assisted on this, but specifically of the Bengals, were there to assist Hamlin in under a minute. They were that quick.
Yeah.
And that may have saved his life.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll be okay.
Hopefully he'll be okay, but right now, they were able to get his heart pumping right then on the field. And right now, there's not been really any update, and I've been watching this very closely throughout the entire day. There's been nothing besides the NFL coming out with statements.
The commentary by a lot of other sports announcers, I listened to quite a bit of it today. I thought it was all very, very thoughtful, and all for the concern of Hamlin and his well-being, and the competitive the football, the schedule, and all that is just in the background. It's right. The full focus is on Hamlin and hopefully his recovery.
Yeah,
and I thought that was. I think it brought out it showed the best in a lot of people today. How this was handled and how people are thinking about it. I think it sets a good example.
Yeah. Hamlin had a charity, a toy drive that he did for the holiday season, and his goal was $2,500. As the last time I checked,
It's got like $4 million.
it's nearing $5 million right now. With the goal was 2,500, and it's now hitting 5 million, which is incredible.
It's great.
It's really incredible.
It's really good. Well, let's hope he'll be all right.
Yeah, that's no one thing. And
that's a prayer we have for him and for his family, that he'll recover and be back to himself.
The scariest thing is that there have been we're going on, it's now 21 hours from when the incident happened. There's been no other update besides his vitals were okay for the incident that happened, and he's been intubated. Other than that, we've not heard, he's not breathing on his own. That's the number one thing. And we've heard nothing. And usually when big hits happen like this, you always get that thumbs up from the player saying, I'm okay for right now. They could have a leg injury, an arm injury, even a head injury, but always that thumbs up is this isn't horrible.
Yeah.
I'm at least responsive in some way. Hamlin was not responsive in any way.
He was unconscious.
His heart stopped. He was in cardiac arrest.
Yeah. Well, let's hope he'll be okay.
Yeah. And I have to commend the coaches, because the coaches were huge on this. I mean, the Roger Goodell was in talks with the referees, and the referees, instead of just calling it themselves, just between Roger Goodell and the refs, it was also going to Sean McDermott and Zach Taylor. They had a big say in this, and they were talking, and the coaches came together, the players came together, and it was important for everyone to have a say in this. And there's a chance. I just hope everything's going to be okay. And once again, the scariest thing is that there haven't been any updates lately.
Yeah,
and that's it's horrible to think, but that's the sad part about the waiting for it, is that it's the anticipation and the fear that something's not going to be okay.
Yeah.
But the last update we got is the only positive thing we have in his vitals. That's the only thing we got now.
Yeah.
Is that his heart's pumping again. He just can't breathe on his own right now. So,
yeah. Well,
prayers to him, prayers to his family. The Bills have, and maybe I haven't heard anything about the Bengals, but specifically the Bills, they have allowed players to seek mental help.
Yeah, they offer those services for them. That's great. That's really good.
It's an amazing thing to do. So, thoughts and prayers out to Damar Hamlin's family, his friends. Prayers to him, Bills, the Bengals, everyone. The NFL on Twitter and every single one of the teams has changed their profile pictures to a pray for Hamlin with his jersey as their profile picture, as a sign of, just getting the word out there, prayers for him. So the NFL is coming together. Really, the entire world's coming together. So it's an amazing thing. It's unfortunate that people come together for such a horrific thing. So let's move on. Actually, we're gonna take a quick break here. We're gonna take a 30-second break, gather ourselves, and we'll be back to talk more about the NFL.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. Let's get right into our first topic. I just got to get this up right now. Here we go. Let's get into our first topic, and this might script because I don't have everything going yet. This is, where are we? We passed one topic. We're going to get to it right now. It's a whole thing now. Here we go. We're talking about the Patriots, and I'm going to bring you in again. So last night, or was it Sunday night, or Sunday afternoon, sorry. The Patriots were able to get a win against the Dolphins, 23-21, in large part due to a great defense, a great defensive push from the Patriots. Kyle Duggar gained the Patriots' 7th defensive touchdown of the year with a pick 6. Mac Jones played somewhat efficiently, going 20 of 33, I believe, for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. They are setting themselves up for playoff contention. So, how would you grade the Patriots' performance, and what was your reaction to this this great Patriot win?
I'm happy. I thought it was a very exciting game, and the Patriots minimize their mistakes. Although they had that one where the guy ran into the kicker. Right? In the first quarter, they were about to punt the ball, and he ran into them. Actually, they were going to go for it on 4th and 1, and then they had a false start penalty that took them back six yards, and then they decided to punt. Then they got the penalty, and they got back to 1 yard, and they went for it and got it, and they went down the field and scored, and tied the game up. So that was not good. But after that, things were well controlled, and I thought the Patriots played well, and particularly the defense. 2 interceptions, right? They had some sacks there. They knocked Teddy Bridgewater. He got hurt and broke his finger and couldn't stay in the game. Well, the other guy that came in did okay. Right? He took him down the field and scored. I was a little worried there. There was still about a minute left, and they scored and got it within 2 points. But the onside kick, as usual, it's a rare that one of those succeeds. So they managed to get the onside kick. Patriots covered it, and that was the end of the game. So I thought the offense, they didn't make big mistakes.
Right.
They didn't. They were pretty slow in the first half. On the second quarter, no score. But in the third quarter, they came out and scored 16 points. So, well, actually, one of those was the Duggars.
One of those the
Duggars was interception. So, the offense is still not the greatest, and they rely more heavily on the defense, and that worked this week. And Belichick said after the game, it was great to win, given what's happened to us the last 2 weeks. It's good to get a win, and I agree with him.
Yeah. The offense has always been a problem throughout this entire year. Play calling, there was still some weird play calling. I think there was a 3rd and 12, and no one was even close to the sticks. Everyone was on like a go route. There were a couple actually great decisions from Mac Jones in this game. There was the touchdown to, I believe it was Tyquan Thornton, who that was just a blown coverage. They didn't get it going. And then there was that timeout. I don't know where it was. Belichick called a timeout weirdly. I don't know what it was about. But in that situation, the Dolphins had a 12th man. Tyquan Thornton was wide open when it came to the formation. So it was a weird time to call a timeout, but that's what happened. But the Patriots defense has been great essentially all year. Like I said, they had 50 sacks going into this week, and if I'm not mistaken, they added a couple to that new record. They got 2 sacks, so they have 52 sacks, adding on to their already record under Bill Belichick coach team of 50 sacks, which is what they broke. Was it this past week? The playoff push, though, they're going to need a lot to happen. There is a chance they could lose next week, if there is a next week, for them to get in. They need the Jets to beat the Dolphins, and then they need... I don't know what's the last thing, but
the Titans against the
Jaguars.
Who is it? Who are they playing?
Jaguars. Titans. Jaguars.
Right? They need the Titans need to win. If they lose and the Dolphins lose and the Steelers lose, that's the only way the Patriots can end, by losing next week.
Okay. So the Patriots need a lot if they do lose.
Well, hopefully they can win.
No,
we'll
obviously.
See.
It's just a question of, because Josh Allen has been tearing up the Patriots for the past couple of years. Last season, they won the weird game where they threw it, I think, 3 times and ran it for the rest of the game, and able to win that game.
I wonder what the weather's going to be up there on Sunday.
My guess is it's going to be just normal early January weather, so it's not going to be. It's not going to be snowing and
brutal weather generally favors the Patriots, but I don't know. And you can get brutal weather in Buffalo, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
The running game wasn't really there for the Patriots in this game. They did not run the ball particularly well. They had 21 rushes for 77 yards. That's not amazing for the Patriots. Their league or their season average. I can't bring it up on an average, but they had 7.
Higher than that for sure.
It's about 100 yards a game. Yeah, this year they have 1,700 yards, so it is 100 yards a game. So it's under their average. It's the lowest. Actually, recently they haven't been running the ball very well at all. the best running game they had was actually against the Raiders. They rushed for 206 yards. The past couple weeks, though, the running game has been shut down. 61 yards against the Bengals, 77 against the Dolphins.
Yeah, well, I think poor Ramondre Stevenson, he's a little bit worn out. They've used him heavily during the season. Fortunately, Damian Harris is back now, can carry some of the load.
And he actually did pretty well. 9 carries for 32 yards. Not bad at all. But, Ramondre Stevenson has been definitely carrying the load when it came to rushing because Damian Harris was out. They didn't want to put in J.J. Taylor. So it was really up to just Ramondre Stevenson. And Mac Jones, the biggest thing about Mac Jones this game was lack of turnovers. No interceptions. 20 of
2
33.
touchdown passes.
Yeah, 2 touchdown passes, 203 yards. He still got sacked 3 times. And he had a couple throwaways where the offensive line just completely broke down. But this was a great game, I would say. Kendrick Bourne got in there. He had a catch for 16 yards. He was targeted twice. Tyquan Thornton had a good game since last game where he had that drop and he just didn't play very well. Hunter Henry played very well. 5 catches, 52 yards.
Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, he had the touchdown. He had one of the touchdowns. He didn't have a great game. He had a touchdown, but 6 catches, 48 yards.
Yeah,
not
he had the
great.
most catches, 6.
Yeah, he had the most receptions. But this Patriots offense, it's going to need to step up if it wants to even compete for the playoffs, let alone actually get into the playoffs. I think honestly, with the way the defense has been playing, they can match up with essentially any team, probably except the Bills, because the Bills seemingly. Belichick doesn't know what to do with Josh Allen.
No.
And that's actually been a little bit of a trend with mobile quarterbacks who can make it throw the ball. Lamar in 2019, it was the MVP year for Lamar. Couldn't stop him. Even this year, couldn't stop him. Justin Fields blew out them. I think if Tua played this game, he already lost to Tua. If Tua was able to play this game, unfortunately he wasn't. He's dealing with a concussion. I feel like that he could have done some damage. The Patriots just have not been doing very well against mobile quarterbacks. The only one that they really, a mobile quarterback that they had some success with was Zach Wilson. But Zach Wilson, he's potentially getting shopped out of New York and is only his 2nd year. Yeah. And I think if Kyler Murray was able to play against the Patriots, I think Kyler Murray would have caused some damage. So I just think Belichick has a difficult time with mobile quarterbacks, and Josh Allen is a big mobile quarterback with a monstrous arm.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. They haven't had much luck against the Bills recently, so
they punted what once in the past 12 quarters, some crazy number like that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be something to watch, and it's scheduled for January 8th, 1 p.m. Eastern at Buffalo. We'll see, how the coming days develop when it comes to next week. Of course, focusing primarily on Damar Hamlin's health and what conditions he's in and the rest of the players, not only on the Bills, not only on the Bengals, but the rest of the NFL, if they're in the condition to even continue. But eventually, as Boomer Esiason said, they need to finish the season at some point. It's just when that some point is, that's up for discussion with the NFL. And no matter what the decision is, people are going to be mad. Some people are going to be happy. There's no right decision when it comes to this, but we'll see. But for right now, January 8th, 1 p.m. Eastern, at Buffalo, Patriots have a chance. If they win, I believe they're in straight up.
And they're in. If they lose, they need a lot of help.
They do need a lot of help. All right, let's move on to our next topic. We're talking about Tom Brady because this was a vintage Tom Brady moment. Brady and the Bucs were able to beat the Carolina Panthers 30-24 behind a 432 passing yard game, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown for the 45-year-old Tom Brady. Mike Evans caught all of his touchdowns, 10 catches for 207 yards, which is absurd. He now continues his streak of 1,000-yard seasons with his 9th. He needed, I think, like 87 or 83, 207. So he killed that by a long shot. So based on what we saw in this game, how dangerous do you think the Bucs could be in the playoffs?
Well, I picked them to win this game. They were not favored, and but I didn't think Darnold was going to be the one to upset the Bucs and keep them from making the playoffs. So I anticipated that Brady would have a great game, and he did. He really looked good. He really looked good, man.
Yeah, he did.
Did you see some of those passes, man? He's throwing the ball 60 yards in the air, right on the money, right on the hands. I think his passing was impeccable in that game. The long throws that he made, the three plays are almost identical to one another.
Yeah.
Right? Except for the arc of the ball. Right? The arc of the ball, it was just like the playoff game last year against the Rams, against Jalen Ramsey. The first one, same play. Right? The arc of the ball.
Almost the same distance, too. It was a 55
about the
yard
same distance. He caught it right about the same spot. And then the other two were in the same spot, too, but one of them was like a laser beam he threw the ball. It was really, I think, Brady, he's not lost it. He is still should be feared out there because he really had a great game. And it's lucky he did because it was a close game, right? It was less than a touchdown. And they muffed the snap on the punt, and the guy, this was late in the game, and there's only 6-point difference, and the guy ran over towards the sideline and then smartly kicked it. And it turned out to be a really good punt.
I think it was at the 1 yard line.
It went down and really close to the end zone there, and the guy was down there waiting for it because it took him so long to kick it. He was right down there waiting for it. It's almost like he was the receiver. And that was really a great play for them, and this heads-up play by the punter. So maybe the Bucs have found something, and they'll carry this on into the playoffs, and they'll be a team to be reckoned with. We'll see.
The running game still sucks.
Yeah, only 67 yards.
But I will admit
they didn't leave it totally.
No.
They did. No. They tried. They had 25 attempts, so they were trying to run it.
Yeah.
They're lucky to have Tom Brady. I'd say that, right? Because he's been. If it wasn't for him, they'd be at the bottom of the heap.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the games he won for them in the last minute of the game. There's three games he won in the last minute this year, and this game on Sunday, without him, they would not be a contender at all. So
absolutely not. This was a vintage Brady game. This was a game where Brady said, "You know what? We're gonna play to finally win the division," and they did something which they should have done a long time ago. Very early in the game, they implemented that 2-minute hurry-up offense. They only did it a couple of times because if you do it too much, your players are going to get gassed and they're going to get tired and they're not going to be as good anymore. But what they did early on was, after the first 1 or 2 drives didn't work, Brady kept the ball going. They kept moving the ball, and it was beautiful. But in large part of this game, the defense wasn't really there. They had one interception on an underthrown ball by Sam Darnold, which was a beautiful read. It just was underthrown. At one point, the score was 21-10. Even after it was 7-0, I tweeted, the Bucs are going to lose this game. Because the way that Sam Darnold was 4 for 4 for 60 yards and a touchdown. I'm like, oh God. This is the past 2 seasons Bucs passing defense where Jared Goff tore up and Matt Stafford tore up the passing defense. And you had who's the quarterback for the Bears in Brady's first season? Was it Nick Foles? Nick Foles. Look at Nick Foles now. 2020, Nick Foles tore up this Bucs passing defense, and I thought it'd be the same thing, but silly me, I was wrong.
Yeah, well, Darnold made a mistake there. He threw the interception.
He did, and that's the classic Sam Darnold that we've always seen. Is he's gonna make the interception?
And that led to points.
The bet.
I believe that led to points, right? That after that interception, it led to points.
I believe so.
Yeah, but
this was a great game from Tom Brady. Still, though, most of these points came in the fourth quarter. It was 21-10 in the fourth quarter. And then it was a 57-yard pass to Mike Evans. Then it was a 30-yard pass to Mike Evans. And then it was a 1-yard rush by Tom Brady. That was basically all their point. That was all their points in the fourth quarter. All those big plays minus what they had a 63-yard pass, which had 57 yards in the air. It's the most air distance, like completion-wise, that Brady's had since 2017. So Brady still got the arm strength, which I was
And the smarts.
I questioned his arm strength because there was a couple throws to Scotty Miller where I thought maybe, because he underthrew them, and I thought maybe Brady's arm isn't there right now. But the problem I still have is, okay, let's just say, just because this is probably going to be how it is. The Eagles are going to beat the Giants this week. They're 14-point favorites. The Giants are probably going to rest their players, but the Eagles, when they beat the Giants, the Cowboys will remain the 5 seed. That means the Bucs will get the home wild card against the Cowboys. With that Cowboys pass rush, Brady, to me, throughout the entire year, has looked more paranoid than ever in the pocket.
Well, he's been hit a lot.
He's tried not to. And I think I have a stat here. Yeah, Brady ranks 9th in QB hits, despite being 33rd in pressure percentage, and he has the shortest pocket presence, the shortest pocket time this year, and he's first in release time. So he has to get the ball out quick. He doesn't have any time in the pocket. He's getting pressured. He's getting hit the 9th most. Yet he's 33rd in pressure percentage, which is that's the stat where people like his offensive line is great. He's barely getting pressured. No.
It's because he gets rid of the ball in 1 second.
He's getting the ball out very quick.
Yeah.
But he's still getting hit, though, regardless. Because at the end, he gets hit and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit nervous because you have to go up against Micah Parsons and Dexter Lawrence and that ferocious defensive line for the Cowboys. So, and the offense, here's the thing. The offensive line did tremendous against Brian Burns. I mean, Brady didn't really get pressured in this game. And so when that happens, when you give Brady 2.5 seconds, he'll tear up your defense. Yeah. And that's what happened in this game.
If it is Cowboys Bucs, one thing going for the Bucs is Dallas's turnovers.
Yes.
Man, Dak Prescott, he turns the ball over a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
He's not been doing well with turnovers.
When you turn the ball over in the playoffs, man, that's generally a recipe for losing.
Right.
So I think that's one thing the Bucs may have going for him is Dak Prescott throwing interceptions or fumbling the ball. He's had a lot of turnovers this year.
In the past 6 games, Dak Prescott has had multiple interceptions in 4 of those 6 games.
Yeah.
With another interception coming out in those other 2. He's had, let's see, 4 times 2 is 8. He's had 10 interceptions in the past 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
It's a lot.
It's the most in the league. And when that is if that's a trend you're on right now, you're able to actually win games. I believe they're 8-2 since Dak came back from injury.
Yeah.
If that's the trend you're doing, Brady in the playoffs, because Brady's a different animal. He's won 35, 36 playoff games in his career, more than anyone. I think double more than anyone. When you commit 2 interceptions, maybe a fumble in there, or even 1 interception, it could be a very costly interception because Brady will eat that. You'll give him short field, maybe easy touchdowns, demoralizing. So,
well, the Bucs beat the Dallas in the first game of the season.
Yeah.
And Dak Prescott got hurt in that game.
Dak Prescott did not play very well in that game. He had 48% completion percentage.
He got hurt.
1 interception.
How long did he play in the game? He wasn't in there that long before he got hurt.
He played 77% of the snaps.
Okay.
So it was about third quarter he went out. Yeah. He did not play well. 14 of 29. Like I said, 48% completion percentage.
They only scored 3 points.
Only
right?
3 points. And that was the only game where the Bucs ran the ball very well. That was the only game. And since then, the Bucs have ran it maybe one other time where they had 2 other times where they had great running. Against the Cardinals, they had 115 yards rushing. And against Seattle in Munich, they had 161 yards rushing.
Yeah.
That's the only other time. Those 3 times.
They got to figure out that formula and have it going for them when they get into the playoffs because they're going to need a running game.
Yeah.
And I do think based on the way Dallas has played and the way the Bucs seem to be playing now, I think they have a chance if that's the matchup.
Well, it's funny that we're going to talk about this on Friday, I believe. But going into this game against the Falcons with Desmond Ridder, who almost lost to, I want to get this name right because I kept saying it, but I didn't know if I was exactly right. The Falcons played the Cardinals on Sunday, and that game was just embarrassing. Yeah, his name is, I was right, David Blau. Or as I call him, David Blau.
He did okay. David Blau did okay. He was
20
ranked in the top 12 quarterbacks, and I saw it on the fantasy. He was in the top 12.
He went 24
I never heard of him
40.
before.
He's their fourth string quarterback.
Yeah, well, he did okay though. He had over 200 yards passing.
The Falcons are favored at home against the Bucs this week. Minus 3-point favorites. They're favored.
How could that be?
Early lines are giving the Falcons 3-point favorites against
I don't buy it.
Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder, who the first couple games the red zone percentage has been abysmal.
Well, maybe they think the Bucs they don't need to. Their seeding isn't going to change if they win, right? Maybe they're going to rest people.
Brady had a problem with that. He was actually asked in the post game, how does he feel if Todd Bowles decides to bench him? And Brady said, "I've missed a total of I haven't missed any games besides or due to just sitting out. He's never missed a single game. 4 games to suspension, 1 season due to the injury.
Yeah.
Other than that, hasn't missed a single game. Not even.
Yeah.
He had 20 stitches in the palm of his throwing hand against Saxonville back in 2017 on a Wednesday before that game.
Yeah, and he played. So he hasn't missed it due to anything. And now he might get benched. And Todd Bowles already said that he's not planning on benching anyone. But we're gonna get this on Friday. I don't think they should be benched because there's so many things they need to work on still. I think they should play hard just to go for a winning record because if they lose, they'll have a losing record going into the playoffs. I don't think that's so good.
It would be the first losing record of Tom Brady's career.
Yeah.
Not even because he was credited actually for the win because in week 1 and back in 2008, they beat, the Chiefs in the game Brady got hurt. He got credited for that win. So not even when Brady got hurt in 2008 did he even have a losing record. So, in Brady's career, he's never had a losing record.
Yeah, so I'm sure he wants to win this game.
Of course he does. But Desmond Ridder is getting 3 points? The Bucs are giving up 3 on the road?
Seems hard to believe. I mean, the way the Falcons have been playing, too. I mean, they squeaked out that win against David Blau.
Yeah.
Right? 1 point right at the end.
Right.
So, they're I would say that... I don't know. What's the point spread on that game right now?
It's -3.
-3.
And you get 3 points for being at home.
Yeah.
But still, not even 2.5. Not even 2. Not even plus. Not even -3 for the Bucs.
Yeah.
They're -3 Falcons. They're +3 on the road, which is it's crazy to think a Tom Brady team with Desmond Ridder as the opposing quarterback is giving up 3 points, which is that's absurd in my mind. But this team, I don't think going into the playoffs against that Dallas Cowboys pass rush, Brady's not going to have much time. And I just think some things are clicking. Like I couldn't believe it, but Mike Evans, that was his first touchdown in 11 weeks.
Wow.
And he had 3 of them.
Yeah.
But he didn't get a touchdown in 11 straight games.
I don't know why. There's something wrong there. Why?
Well, there were a couple that could have been touchdowns, but Mike Evans dropped them, underthrown, overthrown. Just they didn't have a very good connection.
Yeah, well.
And now against the Panthers, who
They
beat
found
them
it.
21-3 earlier in this year, Sam Darnold choked it up and gave the ball away, and he played a pretty good game.
He did play pretty well. I mean,
he had over 300 yards,
341 yards, 9.2 yards per pass, 3 TDs. He had the interception. He got sacked twice.
Right.
His rating was 108. That's not bad. He gets a chance to start for him next year. He's played okay.
I think there's a
since he
chance.
came back, he's played all right, and they've been winning.
Right.
So, and let's face it, they early in the season thought they would even win a game. Right. They fired their coach, and since then they've been a decent team. They're not a bad team.
Well, Brady will break history in this next game if he does get the start and does play more than, I want to say, 2 drives. Probably 2 drives, because Brady right now has 716 attempts, leading the league. Last year he had 719 attempts. The record is set by Matt Stafford back in 2012 with 727 attempts. Brady at 716 needs 11 more. Brady in 2 drives will probably have 11 attempts.
Maybe.
Probably.
Just attempts? It doesn't have to be completions.
No, well, he also leads the league in completions.
Yeah.
But he's also leading the league in attempts. he broke the record last year for completions at 485. He's right now second in history for completions at 477. So he'll probably break that too.
Don't you think he's going to play next year? Huh? He's having a good year.
No,
he had a good year. Unfortunately, he didn't have a good offensive line, and his running game stunk. So he'd been throwing the ball almost 50 times a game, and he's had a good year. And his receivers haven't been that good for him this year. It's been just basically him.
Right.
And he's done well with a lot of adversity. I'd say I think he's coming back. I don't think he's going to retire.
If Brady does play, it won't be for the Bucs.
Well, I think that I agree with that, but
most of their I think there's like 7 or 8 starters on defense that are ending, like they have expiring contracts. The only ones that I believe are staying.
I agree with that.
Barrett. The one off the
maybe
top
there's an
Shaquille
outside
Barrett.
chance he come back to them, depending on what kind of other deals are offered to him. But
Here's the thing: I don't think it's money. I think it's his surrounding cast, because Brady's been taking pay cuts his entire career.
yeah, that's true.
I think it's strictly what talent can you guys get around me.
I think it's the Raiders, personally. I think that's
Really, you're moving off the 49ers.
Yeah, well, I said
did.
maybe the
You did.
49ers, but I've been saying the Raiders lately, and I think that's where he's headed.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You don't think Jarrett Stidham, after throwing 360 yards against that
No.
49ers defense?
Well, they played together in the Patriots, Stidham and Brady.
They did.
I just think Josh McDaniels being the head coach there, and the talent that they have on the Raiders, particularly with the wide receivers, Devontae Parker.
Adams,
sorry, Devontae Adams. I think that's very enticing for Brady, and I think he'll take a hard look at it.
Well, that's why
And I think that
that's why I said the Raiders.
The benching of Carr and Stidham in there now, and the fact that they didn't make the playoffs, I think Carr could be on the move.
Oh, he is. They're expecting to actually trade him away at the beginning of the offseason.
Yeah, so that opens the door for Brady, and the 2-year deal.
Yeah. We've been hearing Raiders opinions in the comments of the clip below.
I bet more of them are agreeing with me now, or thinking that it could be right.
The Raiders
could
fans
be right
are
now,
not happy.
Now that Carr is going to be shopped.
Raiders fans will not be happy if Brady goes there.
Why? Why wouldn't they be?
They just feel like real Raiders fans don't want Brady there at all.
Why?
They don't want to.
Why would they have anything against Tom Brady?
Because they want to win with a potential homegrown quarterback, maybe. I'm not sure of the reason.
Who cares? As long as they win.
The vibe I'm getting is that they don't want Brady, and I don't know what the reason is. It just seems like they don't want a 46-year-old Tom Brady, because I feel like they don't think, at least at the time, this was before Carr got booted out essentially of Las Vegas, is they have Carr, they have a quarterback. The problem is the offensive line needs work. The defense is completely abysmal. The reason why I always thought that Brady would be a great fit, and I've said this actually from the beginning, was that Devontae Adams would be his best receiver since Randy Moss. They have the problem this year compared to last year and the years before was they were able to run the ball efficiently. The Bucs couldn't this year. The Raiders have Josh Jacobs, he's currently leading the league in rushing.
They have a good tight end, Waller.
Darren Waller. That means if Gronk comes out of retirement, they'll get Gronk, because Brady and Gronk go together, PB and J go together.
Right, and Josh McDaniel too. I think Gronk probably like to play for him.
And Brady has his Edelman Amendola blend in Hunter Renfrow, the third down guy he would go to. So it looked like a very, very viable opportunity for Brady to go and potentially win a Super Bowl with the Raiders. But there's another reason why in the back of my head I don't think the Raiders, just looking at the team, is a perfect fit. Then you have to realize he would play Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes twice a year.
So
that'd be brutal. Brutal.
I'm not so sure playing Russell Wilson will be that tough.
I probably agree with you, but hey, Russell Wilson and the Broncos, they've played their best 2 games against the Chiefs. Had opportunities to beat them both times, and they completely shredded any opportunity that, in large part due to Russell Wilson. But this team, dangerous in the playoffs, I mean, compared to this or the Eagles, the Cowboys are probably the best shot, though, because the Eagles right now have probably the best defense. They have, I think, the most takeaways. The point differential is absurd. It's just, I think the Cowboys are probably the better option because Dak Prescott more turnovers than Jalen Hurts and a little bit less dynamic of an offense because Jalen Hurts can run the ball. Dak Prescott isn't really going to run the ball himself. So it's just that kind of a... I mean, I don't know. I don't bet against Tom Brady a lot. This year, I've had a lot of opportunities to, and I've taken them, and I've been right most of the time. My guess is the point spread will probably be 4 or 5 in favor of the Cowboys, even though they're on the road. That would be my guess, but I don't know. We'll have to see if the Cowboys
That's
remain.
another plus for the Bucs. They get a home playoff game.
They haven't played great at home though.
Yeah.
They were able to get this big win at home though against the Panthers. So
and they look good doing it.
they do. So we'll see. I don't think they'll be that dangerous. You, I think, have the impression that it's Tom Brady, so of course they're going to be dangerous. But I don't know. I'm not too sure. But still to come. Are the Giants a serious threat to the rest of the NFC in the playoffs after securing their first playoff spot since 2016? We recap all of Week 17, and we discuss a crazy college football weekend right after this.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch.
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe
Interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
You have a lot to say. Maybe you've thought, I should start a podcast. Meet Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast ever. It's a powerful mobile app and web tool that lets you record a podcast anywhere and distribute it everywhere. It's great whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. And it's 100% free. You can record your show straight into Anchor on your phone, iPad, or the web, using any mic you want. Record alone or with friends or co-hosts anywhere in the world. You can add background music and transitions, and your listeners can send you voice messages that you can incorporate right into your next episode. If you want to produce your show using another app, you can upload your own audio directly from web or mobile and still take advantage of Anchor's totally free podcast hosting. Once your podcast is ready to publish, Anchor can automatically distribute it to every major podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, so your listeners can hear your show wherever they want. And on the web, you can see detailed analytics about how people are listening. Plus, you'll get a great-looking profile page where anyone can listen to your podcast or subscribe to it. And if you want to ask your audience to support your work, Anchor makes it easy to collect monthly payments from the people who love your podcast and want to see it grow. You really don't need a recording studio, expensive equipment, or a bunch of technical knowledge to deal with a podcast feed. Just get started and join the diverse community of podcasters already on Anchor. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
Hi, welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic. We're talking about the Giants. It's been a little while since we talked about the Giants. I believe the last time we talked about them, we were saying that they were probably the bigger contenders to fall out of the playoffs. We were both wrong in that. It was between them and the Jets.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to win another game there after week 9 or so.
Yeah. So we were completely
they had a tough
wrong
schedule,
pretty
tough schedule, and they've risen to the occasion. They made playoffs. They secured their spot this weekend.
So
and they beat the Colts resoundingly.
Yeah, but
the Colts are terrible.
Exactly.
So.
That was my point. But
it's another one. I got the Colts right again this week. Very few times.
I believe that's
thank the Giants for that one.
I believe it was the third time.
Maybe the fourth.
I think it was the fourth.
Yeah.
I think it was the fourth. But because the Vikings game, I believe, was the third time you got it right.
Yeah.
It didn't look that way though. 33-0.
I was going to say, but I turned it on. I didn't get home till halftime. I turned it on. I said, I'm wrong again.
But you know what? There was some hope because Danny Dimes, or as I've been calling him recently, Danny Dink and Dunk, had a very, very good game. He had 177 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 91 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 268 total yards, 4 total touchdowns.
Yeah.
But I'm a context guy. This is against the team that's putting in their third string quarterback, Nick Foles, who, for some reason, he's had the weirdest rise and fall, and Kayvon Thibodeau obliterated Nick Foles. They had to bring back in Sam Ellinger, who didn't play that bad. 9 of 14, 60 yards. It was actually closer to Nick Foles. They had 17 total completions on 27 total attempts, 141 total yards. So, I mean, there's some context here. The Giants were playing against a team that's completely given up. Completely given up. They're right now shooting for the I believe the number 3 overall pick. Because right now the number 1 spot's up for the Bears, which is surprising because Justin Fields has actually been playing well. The rest of the team hasn't been playing well. And the Houston Texans. So the Colts are going to get a high draft pick. But it was impressive. They'll
draft a quarterback.
Probably. Daniel Jones, 5 incompletions. Only 5 incompletions.
Yeah.
He played well.
He did. I have one thought about Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
He's played a lot better this year. They were talking I was listening to The Fan. They were talking about him as a potential MVP candidate. I think they might be getting a little ahead of themselves on that, okay? But one thing I'll say for him, he's going to have to tame it down on the running because he took some big hits when he went into the end zone there. They hit him hard.
Right.
And you can't have that in your quarterback repeatedly or he'll be on the injured reserve list. So I think maybe you ought to dial it down. I think they should have told Daniel, you know what, against the Colts when they got ahead so far, don't run it anymore because you might get hurt. And I think that as he goes forward in his career, should be running less.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Giants right now, I believe...
Who do they play? Who are they going to play in the playoffs?
The Giants have the 6th spot.
Yeah.
So they'd be playing... right now, the Vikings have the 3 spot, I believe, because them and San Francisco are tied. I'll look up the official NFL playoff picture. But they could be playing the Vikings or the 49ers. And if they play the Vikings, I think they actually may have a chance.
I think they do. I think you're right. They played them pretty tough in the first game against the Vikings.
They would play the...
They only lost by 3 points, right?
They play the 49ers.
They're going to play the 49ers?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to beat the 49ers.
I don't think so either. But the Vikings, let's see, the 49ers, I don't think have... The 49ers, they're probably going to win their next matchup, which I'll look it up right now. It's not a very tough matchup, but who knows? Brock Purdy, Jarrett Stidham kept them close, but they play David Blau's going to play. The 49ers are going to beat up on the Cardinals next week. So the 49ers will probably secure that 2nd spot, and I think what the 49ers will do, because the Giants have not... I'm going to keep saying this because I haven't been technically proven wrong otherwise.
Wouldn't the 2nd spot play the 7th seed?
Oh, right. So it would be the Vikings. You're right.
It's going to be the Vikings.
You're right. So the Giants actually have a chance because it was up to a 61-yard field goal to beat the Giants. So now we're talking about the Vikings here. The Vikings go up against...
The Vikings are spotty in the playoffs, too.
They are.
And Cousins
They play
doesn't
the
have a
Bears.
good record in the playoffs, right?
Well,
I don't think
we saw a sighting of non-1 p.m. Kirk Cousins, and it was abysmal. 3 interceptions, and they got blown out, I think, 41-17 to the Packers, who, if they win, they're in because they play the Lions. So we'll have to see when it comes to that, but...
I think that'll be a good game. I think the Packers against the Lions will be a good game. It's at Lambeau, right? They're playing at Lambeau. Yeah, the Lions still have a shot to get in the playoffs too, right?
Because whoever wins that game is in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's be a game to watch. I want to watch that one.
I'm a little bit nervous for the Lions because they do not play well on the road. They are bad on the road. But the last time the Giants played the Vikings, which was week 16, they only rushed for 83 yards against the Giants, but they gave up 445 total yards, 319 passing yards, 126 rushing yards. The defense is horrible. 31st in yards given up, 31st in points allowed. They've been a bad defense. Like it's sad.
No, the quarterbacks played very well. The Lions quarterback.
Well, I'm talking about the Vikings here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
surprisingly, with Dalvin Cook as your running back, they're the 27th ranked rushing team in the league. I don't know how that is. I think Dalvin Cook's a very, very good running back. But
They throw it a lot.
They are third in attempts and fifth in passing yards. So the Giants, could they potentially beat the Vikings and
I think they
move
potentially
on?
could. Yeah, they potentially could.
But how likely do you think that honestly is, though?
Well, they'll be playing at the Vikings, and they lost there once already. So, but it was only 3 points, and it was right at the end.
61-yard field goal
I know
was the reason
that
the Giants
doesn't happen
lost.
often. So, I think they have a chance if they can get their running game going, and Daniel Jones will have to run it some,
Right.
for sure. If Saquon Barkley has a good game and Daniel Jones runs it once in a while for big yards and doesn't turn it over, then I think they have a shot. Their defense plays over its head a little bit, I think, given the talent they have on that defense. The Giants
Yeah.
defense. The defensive coordinator is very good. So
Yeah. When Daniel Jones, so there's only been 4 games where where Daniel Jones has thrown, or 5 games where Daniel Jones has thrown 200 or more. They've had 200 or more passing yards. They're 2-3. So when Daniel Jones has to sit in the pocket and throw the ball downfield and make plays with his arm,
they don't win.
They don't win.
Yeah, they need the running game.
And the 2 games where Daniel Jones has thrown 300 or more yards, they've lost both times.
Yeah.
Against the Vikings, where it was close, and
It's
the Lions.
interesting.
where
They
got
didn't
blown
give
out.
him the 5th-year option.
Yeah.
And now they're probably regretting that, but they'll probably try to sign him to come back next year.
The problem is, though, Daniel Jones is not a great quarterback. He's not a great
He's
quarterback.
improved a lot this year.
He's improved
But, you
because
know,
of the coaching.
he can't, in the future, he can't rely on running it so much, I don't think, because he'll be on the injured reserve the way he some of the hits he's taken. He took some big hits in the Colts game.
Being a primary runner, and this is the argument I have with Lamar Jackson. Being a primary runner is not successful in the league. You could be great in several games, but in order to get to the playoffs and win
Daniel
playoff
Jones
games,
is not as primary a runner as Lamar Jackson is.
I
right?
understand, but he is up there when it comes to mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Because this season he's ran the ball more than ever. I'm going to bring this up right now. How many rushing yards does Daniel Jones have on the year? Because I guarantee you,
Quite a
it's
bit.
probably a lot. Daniel Jones this season has 708 rushing yards this year.
That's pretty good.
300 more than any season he's had since.
Yeah.
So he's running the ball more, significantly more. He has double the amount of rushing attempts he's had in his entire career, in each season of his career. So he's running the ball more.
How many yards has Barkley got this year?
I think 1,300, 1,300, I believe.
Yeah.
He has, the exact number is 1312
He's had a great
with
year.
10 touchdowns.
He's had a great year.
He has.
Without those 2 guys, they wouldn't have had a chance. They wouldn't have done anything, I don't think.
Well, I think even
Particularly Barkley.
early in the season, a lot of the wins were on Saquon Barkley's shoulders. Daniel Jones, he started to run the ball a lot more, and that started to open up windows for success. But the question is, if Saquon Barkley physically can't go, if he gets stopped at the line, if he's not that efficient, can Daniel Jones win you the game? Because that's what all the great quarterbacks in this league do. The winners in the league. If one aspect of your game is off, if one aspect of the offense doesn't work, can you overcome that? And I
would
think
say-
Daniel Jones can't.
You don't think he can?
I don't think he can.
I think it depends on who they're playing, right? I think,
of course, if they're playing the crippled Colts who put in Nick Foles and then basically assassinate him on that sack, yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah, Daniel Jones looked great in that game, but it was against a team that's given up. But even against the Vikings,
I'd say in the
even against
playoffs,
the Vikings.
if Barkley's got to have a good game for them to win.
Against the Vikings, though, they might have an opening. They may have an
I
opening.
think you're right. I think that's right.
I think a large part of the success is the fact that they're number 7th in red zone percentage, and their defense is ranked 9th. So they score a lot in the red zone, and they don't allow teams to score that often in the red zone.
They have a good defense.
They do have a good defense. It's 5th in third down percentage. 5th. So they're stopping teams on third down. So it's it's very impressive what the Giants have done this year, and that's why I said back in week 3 or 4. I said this basically from the jump. I think I even said it might have been after the Titans game. Brian Daboll, Coach of the Year. Originally, it was a joke.
I think he's going to get it.
And then as the games went on, I'm like,
Oh, Doug Peterson could get it too.
I think it's between them two. I think those are the two that are for Coach of the Year. Although, if Tua stayed healthy, I think Mike McDaniel could have been up there.
He's not going to get it.
No, right now I agree with you. I don't think he could, but I think
He's
there was a
lost
chance.
5 in a row.
I think there was a chance he could have gotten it.
Yeah.
Early in the season, because Tua looked
Early in the
phenomenal.
season, they look great.
Yeah. But right now
They were 8-3, and now they're 8-8.
they've lost a lot of games, and it's been very, very bad. But the Giants up against the Vikings have a chance. I thought it was the 49ers. I misread it, but they have a chance. They clinched a playoff spot since 2016, and the last game they played was the Odell went on like that yacht or whatever. I think it might have been a couple days before the game.
Boating incident.
Yeah, and then they just played. Odell had a few drops in that game, and it was just completely off. I think
He
they're
wasn't
playing
the only
Packers
one. The
there.
other receivers were with him there.
Yeah, they were just completely off in that game, and that was the last time they were in the playoffs. And right now, with Daniel Jones, his first playoff appearance in his career,
It's going to be exciting to watch.
I think it's gonna be a really good game. And
I do too.
I may pick the Giants in that game because Kirk Cousins in a prime time position. 4:30 game or 8 p.m. game, whatever slot that they put themselves into, he doesn't play well. Throughout the entire year, he hasn't played well. And I think there's a serious shot that...
The Vikings have had their troubles when they made the playoffs, that's for sure. They're missing field goals and turnovers, and so I don't know. It's a different team now. We'll see.
That's true. That is true. But the way I'm thinking about it is that, maybe the Giants have a chance. I don't think outside of maybe the Vikings they have a great chance to do some damage, because the rest of the playoff teams, let's just say, 1-for-1, Eagles you're not beating, 49ers you're not beating, Vikings you have a chance, Buccaneers I don't think you could beat the Buccaneers.
Probably not.
I don't think so. The Cowboys you're not beating with that pass rush. I'm sorry, you're just not.
They lost to the Cowboys twice this year, right? It's regular season. They didn't beat them.
The games were close though. The games were one score.
Yeah. I think they had a coaching mistake in one of those. They went for it in 4th down when they shouldn't have. They should have punted. That was a turning point in the game, actually.
Well, the first game they played was the Cooper Rush game. It was 23-16 Cowboys.
No, this is the second one.
And the second one was 28-20 Cowboys.
Yeah.
That was I believe that was Dak Prescott's first return game. I think that was his first game back from injury.
Yeah, but the Giants went for it on 4th down, and Jones threw a pass to Barkley.
They were 0 for 2 on 4th
him.
down. Yeah. Oh,
They dropped it.
Yes.
Then the Cowboys scored a bunch of points after that, and that was the end.
Yeah. So
they should have punted there.
I think Giants have a chance if they're up against the Vikings. Any other team, I don't think they could do a lot of damage, but we'll see. I mean, the Giants right now, this has been a crazy year for the Giants. They've had a tremendous up, and then they've fallen down a little bit. And
now they're on the rise again.
Now they're a little bit on the rise again, but we will see when it comes to playoff time. But I think I actually want to switch this. No. We're gonna go with the normal. I might have switched it up, but let's go with the week 17 recap. I believe I still have it up here. That's the official statement. We could change off that. Your picks. I thought it might have been mine first. You get to start off with your week 17 recap.
Okay. Well, I was pretty happy with week 17. I won against the Cowboys, beat the Titans. I was right on that one. I missed on the point spread with the Patriots, Dolphins. Dolphins managed to eke out that touchdown right at the end, but won the game, so that was good. I thought Washington would beat the Browns.
My bad. Sorry. Continue.
I can't see the screen.
Cardinals Falcons. Next one.
Why can't you put that back up there?
I'm working on it. Cardinals Falcons. Go.
Cardinals.
You hit the spread at plus. I think +3. You lost. You did. They did not get the win though. I'm working on it here. Just go through it. There we go.
Okay. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second.
Cardinals Falcons, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I missed on that one. The Jaguars are on a roll. They go into the playoffs. It's a pretty spectacular comeback. Trevor Lawrence playing like a pro. So I got that one right. I was happy about it. I got the Giants right against the Colts. That was prohibitive. And I got the the Kansas City against the Broncos, which was a closer than expected game for sure. I missed on the point spread. I think Russell Wilson was trying to show that he could play well for a new coach, and he wound up turning the ball over there at the end. So, tough luck for him. Got the Bucks right. A lot of people didn't think that was going to happen, but you got the point spread too. Got the Lions against the Chicago right. That wasn't that tough. And I thought that the Eagles would beat the Saints. I was surprised by that, but Gardner Minshew didn't play very well in that game. Right, he had more turnovers.
Yeah,
So,
he was a little bit of a problem.
They need Jalen Hurts to come back. What's wrong with him anyway?
I think he's still with a leg injury.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's a mobile quarterback. So,
San Francisco, I knew they were going to win. Particularly with Stidham in there, although he played pretty well.
I mean, he went to overtime.
Yeah, and went to overtime. But Stidham he had a turnover that cost him the game there.
Right.
Yeah. I knew that the Seahawks were going to beat the Jets, particularly at home with their 12th man in the fans. Green Bay, they're on a roll. They win this week. They're in the playoffs. Hard to believe given how poor they were early in the season. They've really turned it around. And there'll be something. They probably should get in there, right? Because they're playing at home against the Lions, although I think the Lions will give them a good game.
Right.
Yeah. And the Chargers, they've been doing well recently, and L.A., because they've had a lot of injuries and they lost a lot of games, so they weren't really playing for anything. They were out of it. And they got the Steelers right against the Ravens, and the Ravens were surprised they lost that game.
Yeah.
And that was right at the end that they came back. And I like Kenny Pickett. I think he's a keeper.
Yeah, I think so as well.
And Mike Tomlin, great head coach. I'm just hoping that they don't beat the Patriots out for the playoffs. We'll see. So, one week to go, and I'm ahead. I'm up a little bit on the. I'm almost even on the point spread now, and I've got a winning record on the win losses. But it was a good week.
It was a good. I actually had a very, very bad week this week. It's not what I want to do, but we're gonna go with it. That's Baker Mayfield. That's back when I did my Baker Mayfield pick. Let's get into. I have it here actually. My bad. Let's get into my picks. The graphics are screwing me up a little bit here. Let's recover. Okay, I know what the problem is. We're gonna deal with it right now. There we go. We should be good now. There we go. Technical difficulties here. Crazy day for the Harvey Hour. Crazy day. But let's get into it. The first one, Cowboys Titans. We covered that. Cowboys fifth place. They're pushing for the number one spot. I don't think they'll get it, but regardless, I was wrong. This is my Harvey hot hand pick. This is one of them. I was wrong about the Dolphins. I was able to cover the spread, so that's technically a win for me. Although they didn't get the win, I thought they would. Teddy Bridgewater going down didn't exactly help. Skylar Thompson, he gave the Patriots some trouble here. But the Patriots defense was able to pull it out and able to get the win here. So good for the Patriots. They're making a playoff push right now. The next one, Ron Rivera had a bit of a blunder in the postgame. He started Carson Wentz, not knowing that if they lose this game, and I believe that the Seahawks win, they'd be eliminated.
I can't believe he didn't know that.
He didn't know that. He got asked that. He says, we could be eliminated? Yeah, and you now are. I think if they start Taylor Heineke, you actually had a chance to win this game and potentially make the playoffs. I think
that was a wrong move on his part.
It was a very wrong move.
I generally think he's a pretty good coach, but I think that was bad judgment there. He should have started Heineke. If it wasn't for Heineke, they wouldn't even been in a position to compete for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that was the snub on Heineke.
I agree with you.
I think he earned the right to be in there.
Yeah. The next one, a very scary game for this pick. I really thought that David Blau, for most of the game, he was actually beating these Falcons. Desmond Ridder, though. I shouldn't say Desmond Ridder. More so the run game. We're able to come back and win this game. Very, very scary game. The Falcons were not able to cover the -3. They go on to Tampa next week. 3-point favorites at home, which is, we're going to talk about that on Friday, how ridiculous that is. That point spread, I guarantee you, will move. But next one, Jaguars. This game didn't really matter, but they blew them out of the water. Absolute destruction for the Jaguars. Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence seem to be connecting phenomenally. I believe this is the 2017 Eagles effect. Doug Peterson's doing it again. I said that very early on when Trevor Lawrence started to get things going. I'm like, oh, that's a new Trevor Lawrence. Oh, Doug Pearson's doing a great job coaching. I think we could be seeing this right now. Trevor Lawrence looks like a great quarterback. He's a top 15 quarterback right now. He's doing great, and I think that's a huge part of Doug Peterson's offense. We'll see how it continues next year and the following year, but he's doing great right now. The Giants obliterated a Colts team that's just completely given up. We just covered that in the previous topic. Next one, the Broncos.
Do you think Jeff Saturday will be back as
No,
the Colts coach? I don't either.
No. Jeff said that was a bad decision. It was fun to watch. It was just a bad decision. The next game, Broncos gave the Chiefs some trouble. And I literally said this the last time the Broncos and the Chiefs played. The Chiefs were 9-point favorites, and I picked the Broncos +9, and I said, this defense has not gotten blown out. It's done really well not getting blown out. And then against the Rams, they got absolutely crushed. 51 points they gave up. And so I gave up on them. I thought they would be done. But no. Once again, the offense of the Broncos had one of its best performances all year against the Chiefs, which they did the first time. And you know what? The Broncos were able to actually cover the +12 spread, and I got that wrong, but the Chiefs were still able to pull it out. This is the Tom Brady game. I bet against Tom Brady when it all mattered, when the cards were on the table, when everything was pushed to the front, to the center of the table. And you know what? I bit the bullet on that one. That's on me. But you know what? I'm happy to say that Tom Brady's in the playoffs again, and he didn't miss out on the playoffs. Like I actually was kind of expecting, because this season has just been horrible for the Buccaneers. So good for Tom Brady, good for the Bucs to secure a playoff spot. The next one, the Lions. Whew. The Justin Fields has no help. He carried them through all of but one quarter. He carried them through one quarter, and then the other three, he just couldn't. I said the Bears very early on in the season, before week 1, I said the Bears had the landfill of NFL receivers. And they added to that landfill mid-year, getting N'Keal Harry, and then they got Chase Claypool, who hasn't been a huge factor for them, but the offensive line was in pieces. They got rid of their 2 top defensive players. The Bears is not a very good team, and the Lions, they did what the Lions have done basically all year at home. Crush teams. Now they go on the road against the Packers. You saw them last week, the previous week, where they were on the road. They looked horrible. Couldn't get the ball going. It was just a bad team. The next game, Gardner Minshew. I maybe jumped the gun on Gardner Minshew a little bit. He did not have a great game. He was inefficient with the ball, couldn't get the ball downfield. They had 2 first downs in the first half of that game. Horrible. So maybe I jumped the gun a little bit on Gardner Minshew. I'll take that. In this game, this is a Harvey hot hand pick. I said, I don't know how the hell the Raiders are going to be able to put up points against this team. They put up 34 against the number 1 defense in the league. I was shocked.
With a backup quarterback.
With Jarrett Stidham, backup quarterback. So I was a little bit surprised with that. But they were able to pull it out. He got a win. I just, if they stop Christian McCaffrey, what's going to happen? Because Christian McCaffrey had a great game. I think he had over 80 yards. What are they going to do? Who knows? The Jets, Mike White, I said he'll have some.
White is not the answer.
Nah, I mean, maybe. Who knows?
I don't think so.
Small sample size, but I said to my Harvey hot hand, he might have some Superman magic, and it looked like the Seahawks had the kryptonite in this game. Because it was pretty bad. They got off to a very quick start for the Seahawks.
They had no offense. The Jets, it was hard to watch.
It was very hard to watch.
Terrible.
Next game, the Vikings, was it a 4:25 game against the Packers? The Packers are coming alive at the exact right time. Right before the playoffs, they started coming alive. And next week against the Lions, it's a do or die. And it looks like the Packers are probably going to get into the playoffs. They're probably going to slip into the playoffs. Which I actually sort of alluded to a couple weeks ago. I said the Packers are in a great position to make it to the playoffs. No one is counting them in the playoffs. Everyone's counting them out. A perfect position to be in because no one has expectations for you. They gave up all your expectations. So the Packers are in a great position they could make a playoff run. They could. The next one, the Chargers. They look great. The Chargers look phenomenal. They have 10 wins. They're in the playoffs. They're at the 6th spot.
Not tough to look great against the Rams this year.
I don't know.
They've been awful.
Baker Mayfield in that run game started to get going a little bit in the past couple weeks. It's just that, the Rams aren't a very good team in general this year.
But they lost big to the Chargers in this game, right?
It was pretty embarrassing. And then the final game played because the Bills-Bengals game got postponed until further notice. Hey, people are picking the Ravens. The Ravens are favored. I just couldn't understand why. Tyler Huntley is not a great quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. Kenny Pickett had some magic in him. He had a great touchdown throw at the very end of the game, and then I believe the Steelers got a turnover to seal the win for them. It was a great Steeler win. This was probably my Harvey hot hand. So if I look back at this, I believe my Harvey hot hand was the Jets, 49ers, Steelers, Patriots, and I'm forgetting the last pick. Who did I have? I can't. Oh, it was the Bengals Bills game, which got postponed. I went 2 for 2 this week, so not great, but not necessarily bad either.
Yeah, your win-loss record is good overall.
Yeah. I'm very happy with that. I'm not too upset with the spread, but
spread is good too. You're ahead.
Yeah. I'm happy to be
That's
up.
hard to do.
Let's get into something that I never thought we'd talk about on the show because we're not, avid watchers of college football. But let's get into college football because the national championship game has been set. TCU versus Georgia. I hit that nail on the head. I got 100% right. You got a 50% right. I thought Michigan would win. Each of these games were absolute thrillers, depending on the outlook. If you were a Michigan fan, you didn't love that game. If you were a TCU fan and picked TCU, like I did, I was having a great time. But sorry about that. TCU was able to beat Michigan 51-45. You got a little bit close late in that game. And then that Georgia-Ohio State game. Man,
Wow.
what a thriller.
What a game.
What an absolute game. I want to start with the first game, TCU-Michigan. Michigan defense. Here's the thing. The reason why I picked TCU against Michigan was that with a John Harbaugh team, they fall apart in the playoffs. They do. Last year, I believe they were in the playoffs. They fell apart and lost. And that's why I picked TCU, even though when I first saw the top 4, and the top 4 was released, they released it every single week, and TCU was in there pretty consistent. I'm like, that's an outlier, because originally it was Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan, and then I'm like, TCU? What? And then they started to win games, and they stayed in the top 4. They made it to the number 3 spot over Ohio State. I'm like, wow. And then I was like, you know what? Let me just pick TCU. Michigan falls apart. What'd you think of that game, TCU-Michigan?
I couldn't believe that the Michigan Wolverines gave up so many points in the second half.
Yeah.
When they've only given up an average of a little over 5 points a game in the second half, and they gave up 30 points. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
There's something badly wrong there. How did that happen? I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, they scored 45 points. Generally, that's going to win a game for you.
Not when you give up 51.
51. They gave up 51. They gave up 30 in the second half.
Yeah.
How did that happen? I didn't predict that was going to happen for sure. I thought Michigan was going to win this game. So
TCU's quarterback, Max Duggan, did not have a great game.
Yeah.
225 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Not a great game. They ran the ball very well, though. I have it here. Amari DiMercado, 17 carries, 150 yards, 1 touchdown. And Max Duggan also had 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
So the air game was not there at all. The rushing game, they lit him up. 3 touchdowns, 263 total yards.
Yeah.
Michigan's defense, second half, it was
What happened there?
pitiful.
I don't understand it.
pitiful.
It's pitiful.
And then
They really choked. I couldn't believe it.
let's get into the second game, which was an even bigger thriller.
It was a wild game.
Ohio State, Georgia. I was shaking in my boots when Ohio State opened the game fast and they scored easily. I was very, very nervous. And then Georgia with Stetson
Georgia
Bennett.
was down by 14 points pretty late in the game.
Yeah.
You know? And they came back, and then they fell behind. Did they get the lead? They were very close, and then
late in the game
then
they were
Ohio
down
State
a couple
won,
scores.
and, scored again, and then they drove down and got the lead there by 1 point. That was really spectacular.
Yeah.
I really think Georgia's quarterback is something special.
Stetson Bennett,
he was really good.
I think that's in large part due just to the first of all,
He had a couple of really long passes right on
he
the money.
hit the 76-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
How do you give up a 76-yard touchdown that late in the game?
I know.
It was absurd.
Yeah. That happens in college football, those big plays like that.
Yeah. I want to start off with this. Marvin Harrison Jr.
What happened to him? Did he get hurt or something?
He got hurt. There was
I was listening to it without the sound on. I kept showing him over on the sidelines.
He got hurt. It was a. I don't know if it was a. It might have been a touchdown, but it was a pass into the end zone. He might have caught it, and there was a potential for targeting on the play, but it wasn't really targeting. There wasn't any lead of the helmet or anything like that, so I don't think it was targeting. But
well, that's one thought back on the TCU Michigan game.
Sure.
Do you think there was targeting there at the end?
No.
I don't know, Nate. It was pretty close.
It was close,
it was
but
very close.
I don't think it was targeting.
Yeah. I
don't know. There was cause for concern.
And that's unfortunate in a way for the Michigan because they had 25 seconds left. They still could have had
Not
two or
too
three
much.
plays.
It would have
been 15-yard penalty, right? They would have been close to midfield.
It would have knocked out the player for the first half of the national championship game.
Yeah.
So maybe that would have been a huge thing for TCU, but it was a I don't know the exact name of the guy.
Sorry, we went back to the other game.
No, but it's fine.
I forgot about that.
He wasn't a starter though. That's the thing though. So it might not have been a huge loss, but it's still it was something at least. It was a point of reference.
That was a very close call. I thought it was. It looked to me like it was targeting.
Yeah. There's a couple players this year that have really shown that their fathers who played in the NFL have a massive impact on how they play.
Yeah.
I believe Will Anderson, his dad, played in the NFL. He is a top 3 pick in the draft this year. You have Marvin Harrison Jr. He is a phenomenal receiver. We saw it in this game.
That's maybe part of the reason they lost is because he got knocked out of the game.
5 catches, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns.
And he didn't play the last almost a half of the game, right?
He was a phenomenal receiver.
What was his injury?
I'm not too sure. It may have been concussion protocol.
Oh, really?
It may have been.
Because he looked like he was okay over there on the sidelines.
And then Frank Gore Jr., he has been a great running back. So all these great players that played in the NFL, their sons have been very good in college football. C.J. Stroud didn't have a great game. He had a pretty good game. He had a QBR of 93, scale of 0 to 100. Stetson Bennett had only a 75.
He made some big plays at Stroud.
Yeah, no, he
right at the end there, he ran down the field and got him into field goal range.
Right.
I feel bad for the field goal kicker in Ohio State.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even close. He just, it was a very
wide
bad
left.
kick. Yeah,
the hold wasn't great.
It was low.
Low
was wide
hold,
left, low.
It was bad. 348 yards, 4 touchdowns. It was a good game, and it just came down to a miss.
That Georgia quarterback is really special, I think.
Stetson Bennett, almost 400 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception.
He was good, very good when it was on the line. When the game was on the line, he played very, very well.
He beat Alabama last year in the national championship. That game was a blowout for Georgia, but Georgia's defense was tremendous. Even this year, Georgia's defense has been great, but that late game, they were down like 1.5 scores, something like that. I think they're down like 12, 13 points at some point in the game. Able to come back, 76-yard touchdown, stop them, get the next score. It was
quite a game.
It was a
Very
great
good
game.
Great
So
game.
we usually do this on Friday, but I just thought to nail it in the coffin now because there's a lot of football for Week 18 if it's next week. Who wins? What's the score? Who covers? It's TCU versus Georgia. Georgia's favored by 13 points. Who do you have winning this game? Who covers? What's the score?
I think Georgia's a prohibitive favorite here.
Big time. Well, the 13-point favorite. So
I'd say they cover.
So you think Georgia, they win by 13.5, so 14 points or more. What's the score?
Oh, I think it'll be a pretty high score for Georgia. I think they'll have 40 points.
40 to what? So it has to be at least 40
to 20.
Well, you don't think Max Duggan can get it done?
No. I think TCU, I think they were way playing over their heads in the Fiesta Bowl.
Early on, they were very fortunate. A lot of turnovers Michigan had. They were a couple on the goal line they fumbled on the goal line. I'm going to agree with you. I don't think Georgia covers, though. I have this funny feeling TCU...
I'd like to see a close game, but I don't think so.
I think it's going to be 45 to 37. I think there's going to be a relatively high-scoring game. I think both offenses are going to do really well. I just think Georgia's defense will come up big, and Stetson Bennett wins his second national championship in a row.
Their coach is a very good coach, Georgia's coach.
Yes.
He saved the game really with that timeout because they lined up for the punt. They had nobody over on one side of the field.
Yeah.
He saw it and called timeout.
Yeah.
Just before the guy snapped the ball to the up man, and he ran for a first down.
Right.
If they hadn't called that timeout, they might not have had enough time to win that game.
Yeah.
That was a great call.
It was. That does wrap it up for the Harvey Hour. Thank you for watching this episode of the Harvey Hour. We'll be back on Friday to recap what may be Week 18. We'll have to see in the next coming days what happens. But as of right now, on Friday, we'll be here to recap Week 18. If not, focus on some basketball. Why not? We haven't talked about basketball that often. We had we had a couple great games over the weekend. You had Donovan Mitchell scoring 71 points. Klay Thompson dropping 54. Huge win, double overtime for the Warriors. Joel Embiid, I think, put up 40 points. But, everyone was focusing on the health of Damar Hamlin.
Our prayers for Damar.
Absolutely.
And his family.
Absolutely. Week 18 recap or picks next week. Hopefully that's the plan. Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. My name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We all the